Yo, what's happening, Cucumber Squad? Right, man, so like I told you, I am catching up on paid reactions. I said I was going to slow down my paid reactions in the next couple of weeks. I am going to dramatically slow them down so that I can get to a lot of newer music, get back to the Harry Max, get back to the loop station stuff, get back to all the new type music and whatever else. I've been trying to strike a bit of a balance. Please bear with me. It's a little bit hard to sort of like make everybody happy. But yeah, the skip the line reactions has had an effect on the channel. Not that it's the people. I appreciate the support. I appreciate everybody who goes and submits a skip the line reaction. I really appreciate that. I mean, that was a way of trying to get, you know, some sort of monetary gain out of, you know, YouTube because of all the blocking and the claims. You virtually make no money on it. But in terms of the growth of the channel, it has affected that. So this reaction game is such a weird thing because it really is so difficult to actually strike a balance between making a little bit of money and, you know, for the time that you spend. I spend hours and hours and hours in a day, every single day. So I'm still trying to figure it out, but we will eventually. Anyway, speaking of that, skip the line reaction by Rosa. I have to say your name, Rosa, because everybody knows it's you. When it comes to Hua Chenyu, Rosa is like synonymous with the name, you know what I mean? So Hua Chenyu, this one's called Arrival. I absolutely adore this artist, man. I've done so much of his already, and I don't think we've even sort of like scratched the surface yet, but I haven't done this one. It's called Arrival. So Rosa, thank you so much, man. I apologize, you've been waiting quite a bit for your reactions. I have been pushing them out, but I'm catching them up. I'll be completely up to date by the end of today, except for the blocked reactions, which I'll put up on Odyssey. Anyway, let's rock and roll. I'm not prepared over here. I don't know why I wasn't prepared with my headphones and everything already. Hua Chenyu, Arrival. Let's rock and roll. Do we have the CCs on? I think so. Beautiful instrumentation to start. La vie. That sounds so harmonious and peaceful, right? It's almost got like a bit of a Gregorian sound to it, and part of that as well is like nighttime arrives with its forgiveness, right? And then taking a stroll in the dark with the candle, almost like, okay, you know this guy with his concept in his music in terms everything's got a meaning, everything is connected to something. So you say taking an evening stroll. Sorry people, you know we pause because specifically with him I like to break down his music. Taking the evening stroll carefully in dreamland with a candle, right? So he's now painting this picture of what could be, right? So he's taking the candle to a dreamland, right? Beautiful. So grooms feed the beast, arrive in man's world, yet still unknown of worries, right? So I'm trying to like sort of package in terms of like, I know it's still very early in the song, but in terms of what he's trying to paint over here. So there's a beast, so obviously there's a darkness in this space, there's a darkness in this world. So arrive in a man's world, yet still unknown of worries, right? So I'm arriving here pretty pure, pretty innocent, almost speaking as if it's of a child, arriving in a man's world, not knowing that the beast lurks in the dark, right? Because that is the world we live in, right? So the way I see it right now, he's speaking of birth and he's speaking of death at the same time with regards to Grimm's feeding the beast, right? In a dark world, and then the arrival, arrive in man's world. So I arrive in man's world as a birth, like I'm birthed into this, still unknown of worries. So innocent, as an innocent child. That's how I see this. Beautiful. Looking ahead and then behind. I like the fact that he said that. He didn't say looking ahead and behind, right? So it's like I'm looking ahead and I'm looking behind. He says looking ahead and then behind, because that's what happens in your life. When you are born, right, you're looking ahead. Life is always beautiful and bright, but as you go through life, there's adverse effects that happen in life. There are traumas that happen in your life that create those moments in your past. So you're always looking ahead until eventually you have to look behind, because those things tend to shape you. Those things tend to mold you in the way you move forward. So he says looking ahead and then behind. All beings embrace the impermanence. Obviously meaning not permanent. The impermanence of life, right? So life is not permanent, okay? I'm pretty sure that's the meaning of it. Impermanence, just to make sure. The state of fact of lasting for only a limited period. Okay, I was right. So that life is limited, right? So it's not permanent, right? I get that. So you're looking ahead, and then you look at the past, and that's sort of where you get your sort of like guidance for how you run your life. You sort of understand that life is not a permanent thing. You got to seize it. Okay, get that. Madness and silence all melt into the bleakness of the pouring rain. This man with his poetry, I know that he doesn't write some of his lyrics, he delivers them like absolutely crazy, but the lyrics, the poeticness into his music and the concept are absolutely brilliant. So it's basically, the way I'm actually seeing it over here is he's kind of trying to paint the picture of this world in terms of its birth and its death and everything in it, essentially. So from a time that a baby is born to the way it's shaped or molded, and as it goes through life, right? It's either he sees this world in a certain light based on his experiences and based on his circumstances. That's how he sees the world, and it's almost like he's talking about a rebirth of this. Someone actually told me that this is connected to I think Godtree, where I can see what he means. These two songs are very connected. Just said that, cannot retain the innocence, right? So you're born innocent, but you come into this chaotic world with darkness, and you eventually see the beast or become the beast, right? And it takes a lot of work for you to actually not be that. It takes a lot of work for you to be part of the actual natural order where everything is moral and just and things like that. So I see what he's saying here. So you can't retain the innocence. We all sinners, and we always going to sin, right? Because we make mistakes, and that's who we are as beings, right? So I kind of see how he's painting this world. I was like, you can't retain your innocence, but through that journey, right, you may have sinned, but you're learning consistently, and that creates the new world awareness, the new world order. Is your knowledge, it's your experiences, it's how you move forward. It's the fact that you have a past, that you know how to see the future, is kind of what I'm seeing over here. Gazing at each other endlessly. sound of those instrumentations are absolutely beautiful because they're very harmonious, and it almost comes to sort of make you feel, the whole song makes you feel like you should be at peace with yourself, despite the world that you live in that may be dark, despite that beast in the darkness, despite the fact that you do have a past that has hurt you, despite all of that. If you remain at peace with yourself, the world changes. Right? It's exactly like that. The one line I absolutely love by Akala, and Frank Warner also loves it, is look in the mirror and find no enemy. If you look in the mirror and find no enemy, right, you preserve that innocence. It doesn't mean you haven't sinned, but your awareness of that, I will not hate myself for who I am as a person, right, that will transcend through you onto other people. And that's how it has a ripple effect. If everybody can do that, that's, you know, you sort of like preserve the innocence. I love that. The apple forgotten by the Kappa is sneaking into heaven. Kappa. Sorry guys, I have to actually search it because I know Kappa as a brand, right? What is Kappa now? K-A-P-P-A. Official South Africa. It's actually an official South African brand. A football brand, or like a sports brand. No, it's currently showing me all these things are stupid brands. I'm not entirely sure. People put that in the comments. I'm going to research that for myself. Obviously, when he's speaking of the apple forgotten, I kind of feel it's like the fruit that was given. He's kind of playing into the biblical sense over here, right? When you know the snake told man to sin, right? So the snake told Eve to take a bite out of that apple, right, and to sin, and then they were cast into they were cast out of the Garden of Eden. I kind of feel like that's what they're playing into. And then the apple forgotten by the Kappa is sneaking into heaven, almost as if, the forbidden fruit is now sneaking into heaven. I'm not entirely sure in terms of Kappa. Kappa probably will tie this in together. But somebody, if anybody knows, let me know. Other than that, I'm going to actually research this myself. The secrets bloom too much. So it's basically the way he's actually said there. It's as if secrets cannot be kept anymore. So the secrets are blooming too much. Like a secret shouldn't bloom. A secret should be should be kept tight, right? When a secret is blooming, it means that you're not actually retaining that secret. You're actually letting it free, right? So it's a beautiful way of saying secrets aren't being kept anymore. So again, he makes reference to Azura being cast from Eden, right? And then he said another line over here: Narcissus cannot help its tears, right? So basically saying if you're a narcissist and all you care, this is so beautifully poetic. So basically saying as a narcissist, if all you care is about yourself, right? If everything is about you and you don't care for others, you will eventually not be able to help your own tears because you disconnect yourself from the world. You disconnect yourself from the natural order. Everybody needs each other. You can't just be about yourself, right? And if you are about yourself, like taking that apple from the snake just to satisfy your own sort of indulgence, right? You get cast out of Eden, right? Which then leads to tears because of your narcissism. That's how I see it. I love that line. I apologize, I'm pausing, but I love that line. All beings embracing the impermanence of life, because the fact that life isn't permanent is what makes life so beautiful. I've actually had this argument with so many other people where people will say, you just could continue living your life. If we were just giving infinite, if I had to give you another 50,000 years, people would say like, no, life would still have meaning. No, it wouldn't. The reason why life has meaning is because of its limited time, right? You only have a limited time to do something. Right? You got a limited time to achieve your goals. You got a limited time to, create your legacy. You got a limited time to spread your purpose. If I had to give you 50 years, what's the rush? Right? We would become beings of procrastination. Because what's the rush? I'm not going to die now. I've got 50 years. Why do I need to do this now? Why do I need to change the world now? Why do I need to create my legacy now? The moment you take out urgency, the moment you take out the time factor, right? Everything loses its meaning. The reason why things are so beautiful, the reason why life is so special is because there's a time factor to it. There's a limit to it. It can either end now or it can end on a reasonable take, 80 years on average. It'll end in 80 years. 80 years is not a lot of time. And you don't even know if you're going to get to those 80 years. So sure, life is right now. Life is the fact that it's impermanent right now can't be wasted. And someone was actually saying, no, we would continue living as doing what we do. No, but there's no more urgency. There's no more urgency, right? People want to achieve their legacies. Elon Musk wants to get to Mars before he dies. Right? That's what they want to do. Now, if you had to go to Elon Musk and say, listen, there's going to I'm going to give you 50,000 years. What's the rush? What's the rush? I've got all the time in the world. Right? Innovation wouldn't move forward as quickly as it does. Right? We wouldn't need to help the world as quickly as it. Urgency drives innovation. It drives innovation. Like in a situation like a pandemic, it's urgent. We need the vaccine. 1 year and we got the vaccine. If it wasn't urgent, we wouldn't have it. Because unfortunately, that's just how human beings are. If I've got all the time in the world, I'm going to dabble in procrastination. That's how I see it anyway. Actually makes me feel like when you go to the Vatican and you get like the cardinals who go in there and they're singing the hymns, it almost feels like you in one of those sort of churches. Like the Vatican is the grand, it's so grand and so beautiful, right? And you get a very, like, the feeling you get in it is amazing, specifically when you hear hymns like this. But that's the kind of feeling it gives me. It's very powerful. Right? It's got a lot of peace and harmony and power to it. Right? absolutely beautiful. But I'm not even surprised, man. This guy is an absolute, for me, he's incredible. The way he delivers everything, he's so versatile. And I've told you before already that he is so comfortable in his own skin. Like the way he delivers something, if he's trying to make something like peaceful and he's trying to elevate it into the space of like heavenly sort of content, right? He does that. Like it's just so seamlessly easy. If he goes into the rock stuff, into the rap stuff, it doesn't matter what it is. He morphs into these characters that it's like, bro, how do you morph into like a rapper, you morph into, you know, like a vocalist, you morph into a spiritual healer, he morphs into different characters when he does his music. It's unreal. It's unreal. It's almost like he's made of this, like, you know, like mercury that he just morphs into something else and is amazing at that. It's crazy. Anyway, I love you all, man. Please stay safe. Please stay healthy. Let me stop talking for now. Peace.